Hello again, and welcome to the latest edition of the Mack Brown Show. My name is Jones Angel, along with the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Mack Brown, and we're excited to be with you for the next hour talking Carolina football. We're going to look back at that big win over Duke on Saturday. What a great performance, especially on the defensive side, gracious, by the Tar Heels. We'll preview the upcoming matchup with Florida State. First time since 2009 that the Seminoles have been in Chapel Hill, and we'll answer your questions as well. Again, thanks so much for being here. And, Coach, great to see you. And for the third consecutive year, Carolina owns the victory belt. Tar Heels really just smothered Duke. 38-7, the final score in Chapel Hill on Saturday afternoon. And you said after the game you felt like it was one of the best defensive efforts from your team since your return. And, boy, it felt like that defense led the way all afternoon long.
Yeah, Jones, first, it's an important game. And since 1948, there was a bell. There's a reason that this game's important, and somebody chose to exchange something that would be important to both universities after a win. And it's good to have it in Chapel Hill and keep it here. And it's important to our players, our students, our fans, our administration, and everybody involved. So we're really, really pleased. And Duke played hard. They gave a great effort. But very, very proud of our guys. We got better on defense. It's the best we played. We scored on defense, which we haven't been able to do. We stopped the run after a couple of Durant runs inside. We made some adjustments and stopped the run and put pressure on the passer and pretty much dominated the second half. So really pleased with the play of the defensive line. They got pushed. The outside backers got sacks. So we're starting to look more in that area like we need to and want to. Now, the question will be, we'll brag on them this week. Now, will they get the big head and not play hard against Florida State, or will they grow and get better? And that's what a great team does. So we've got to start being more mature after positive things happen if we want to be a great team. Special teams were good. It really didn't make a lot of difference, but we got 2 holding penalties because we were recovering so fast that pushed them back inside the 20, and field position's key. OB knocked the ball back on a pooch punt that got it into 6. So there were a lot of positive things. We made the field goal that we kicked that we take for granted, but field position is huge, and especially when you're playing really good defense. It makes it where you don't have to go for 4th and 2 at the 50. As often because your defense is playing well. Offensively, we're making a lot of progress when we can score 31 points on offense, taking away the 7 for our defense. We can get 460-something yards total offense, run up and down the field, and be griping. So that's a good against your rival. So that's a good thing. Who beat us 3 times in a row before we got here. So we are making progress. Now, did we have too many sacks? Did we have too many lost yard plays? Yes. And did Duke do a good job of committing to the run and trying to hit the quarterback and play man coverage? Yes. But our guys did what they needed to do in the passing game, straightened out some things in the running game in the fourth quarter, late third quarter. So we've got some work to do on offense, but we're getting better, and we didn't turn the ball over. Yeah. And we left the defense with great field position. So a lot of positive things coming out of this game. And when you win, and especially by that many points, it's a whole lot easier to coach the guys the next week. You can be hard on them after a win. When you're hard on them after a loss, everybody's hard on them. And then it just gets more negative, so you have to be really careful to pick them up after losses and get on them hard after wins. So this should be a good week for us to coach.
Coach, you mentioned the defensive score. Kevin Hester forced a fumble. Trey Morrison picked it up, returned it 63 yards for that touchdown. Obviously, that makes an impact on the scoreboard, but how else does that impact a game when you have a big play like that and you are able to score on the defensive side?
Just changes momentum and morale so much. And how smart. Number one, we started stopping the run, which put them in 3rd and long and gave Kevin Hester a chance to hit the arm of the quarterback. And that's what we've talked about. That's how you create turnovers. We haven't been able to do that. Secondly, Trey Morrison could have fallen on the ball And we say if it's in a crowd, fall on it. We call it a city ball. If it's a city ball and you got people around you all over the place, fall on it. If it's a country ball, man, scoop it and score. So it was a country ball. He didn't have anybody around him, so he scooped it. He didn't stop. He goes in and scores. He's not sure whether it's an incomplete pass or not, but he played the play out, which was really, really smart on his part and led to 7 points.
Duke came in to the game, Coach, converting 58% on third down. They were just 2 of 15 in this game. And even in the last 2 weeks, if you add in the Georgia Tech game, Charlie opponents just 5 of 26 on third down in those 2 games. What is your team doing well on third down right now to force other teams to have to kick it away?
We're starting to get better on first and second down, which makes them have longer yardage plays. Duke could run the ball really well on 2 downs and had short yardage, 4 or less, in a lot of third down situations. And by stopping the run or getting some negative plays on first down, just like our offense has struggled with, we had to overcome third down and long a lot. And you don't want to do that. That's where you get your sacks. And it's just a combination of errors that lead to that problem. But our defense is playing really, really well on third down, and that's like a turnover. We stop them on 4th and short. That's a turnover because you get the ball back, change of possession. But anytime you can get off the field in modern-day football on defense, you're doing something right.
You've talked a lot, Coach, about Carolina's offense needing to be patient, more patient, and it felt like it accomplished that on Saturday because, as you referenced, everything wasn't perfect offensively, but Carolina just kept plugging away and made enough great plays to have this big margin of victory when it was said and done.
Yeah, I preach patience all the time, and I had none on Saturday. I was mad every time we'd have a sack or a lost yardage play, and I'm yelling at coaches and screaming at everybody. But the players and the coaches did a great job of overcoming my aggressiveness and just stay on the course. When you're playing great defense, you can work on things and figure things out. Like I said, we had some big runs in the third and fourth quarter that we found some things there, and then the huge pass plays all over the place. So right now we've been a big play, bad play offense, and that's not what we like, but as long as we score 31 points a game, we're probably doing pretty well.
Played a lot of players in this game. Nearly 50 Tar Heels played, and I would think that was beneficial. It was a hot day on an afternoon game on Saturday. I would think that was beneficial for your team. Yes,
we're 11-4 at home on that turf. We think the turf is it does get hot, and we've got depth. We've created that over our 2.5 years, and we've got speed. So we feel like both of those are a great advantage for us playing at home.
Carolina gets the win 38-7 over Duke. We'll talk a little bit more about the victory over the Blue Devils when we return. Coach is going to answer some of your questions as we move through the show. And another big home game coming up, this one against Florida State. By the way, time for that one has officially been announced. It is 3:30 on Saturday afternoon, Carolina in Kenan Stadium against Florida State. We'll talk about that matchup a little later in the show. We have a ton to do. Stay put. A lot more to do after this on the Mack Brown Show from Learfield. Welcome back to the Mack Brown Show. I'm Jones Angell, along with the head coach of the Tar Heels, Mack Brown, talking 38-7, that victory over Duke on Saturday. And Coach wanted to highlight a couple of the individual performances in this one for your team, and nowhere else to start other than Josh Downs. Another big day for Josh. 8 catches, 168 yards, and a touchdown now through 5 games. Josh already with 40 receptions on the season.
Yeah, Josh has been a superstar for us, and it's not like people don't know he's going to get the ball.
Right, yeah.
Jones coming in, so he's tough, he's smart. He was disappointed. He dropped a couple of balls on Saturday and then had a couple that were thrown over his head where he had a chance to make really big plays. So it could have even been better. But he's a confident young man. He's competitive as could be. And when something doesn't happen well for him, he goes right back to work. And that's what we've got to do as a team.
Very workman-like day it felt like for Ty Chandler. Coach kind of plugged away in the run game, got over 50 yards rushing, and was really big in the pass game. Had 2 receptions, the big 75-yard touchdown that got the scoring started. Also had a key third down catch on a drive that ended up in a touchdown for your team. And so just a very solid afternoon it felt like for Ty.
Yeah, Ty's getting better and better. Both backs missed some cuts. And you know, you don't want to be an offensive lineman if you lose a game because everybody cusses the offensive line. They don't even know if it's their fault or not. You don't want to be an offensive line coach because he's an idiot if you lose a game, or if you win 38-7 and you have a few sacks and everybody blames the offensive line. But the backs got to be more patient sometimes. They're trying so hard, and I think it's one of the problems with this offense, Jones. They're all trying so hard to be last year's offense. We're not. So quit trying to be. Let's be this year's offense and win the game. But patience as a running back, there's some holes that if you can cut back and get in, you can find. And we just don't need to run so hard and so fast that we're running ourselves out of holes. So I think every game we will get better in those areas.
Coach, you mentioned the offensive line. You substituted freely on that offensive line in this game, played, I think it was 9 different players along that O-line, when before the game was no longer in question and you substituted at the end. But you really ran a lot of guys on that line.
Yeah, there's been some guys that are hurt, and we have vowed not to use that as an excuse because I hate coaches using youth and injuries as an excuse because it doesn't help you get any better. But at the same time, some of the guys aren't playing consistently well. So what we're doing is trying to find a combination of who's going to play well. We don't care how old you are. We don't care how much you've played. We don't care how big you are or how pretty you are. Play, man. Get your job done, or we're going to find somebody that will.
Coach, on the defensive side, after the game, you praised Cam Kelly for one of his better performances in your mind. You said you wanted to, see the tape and make sure that it bore that out. After watching the tape, were you still as impressed with Cam as you thought you were right afterwards?
Yes, Cam played by far his best game. We played him more, and he deserved it. And when you put a guy in that has played in a limited amount, he better play good if he wants to keep playing. And Cam had 7 tackles, an interception. He was all over the place. We had better communication in the secondary. He missed the 1 tackle, the first long pass of the second half. And other than that, he played a flawless game.
That interception was impressive. Cam tipped it from behind the Duke receiver, intercepted it himself, and got Carolina good field position in that particular instance. Coach, Myles Murphy kind of quietly continues to really play well and make some big plays along that defensive front. He had 2.5 tackles for loss and a sack in this game, and every week it seems like he's getting into the opposing team's backfield.
Yes, if you think about it, Jones, here's a young guy that came in without spring practice last year, and he breaks his hand. So he's playing with a cast, so you can't coach him. You're talking about using your hands to get low pads. Use your club, man. I mean, you can't do it. So he's really coming into his own now. He still jumps offside some, but he knocks everybody down when he does. So we got to teach him to be a little more patient. But he is a real force on that defensive line, and we think he's got a chance to be really, really special before he gets out of here.
Coach, last thing before we take a break, you talked about your corners after the game and how much press man they were playing. You felt like they held up very well in that particular defense. What allowed them, in your mind, to be so successful on Saturday?
Well, Bobo is a really, really good player for Duke.
Yeah.
He seems like he's been there 15 years. And he's 6'5", he can run, he can get open. And our corners had to stay on him all day because he caught 34 balls going into the game. I think he caught 3 maybe that weren't significant gains. But when you do that, and the quarterback has to hold the ball a little bit longer, we had outstanding play also out of Tamon Fox and Kamen Rucker. They were able to get pressure on the quarterback as well. So it was just a great game plan and something that really took Duke's offense out of the game.
Again, 38-7, the final score this past Saturday. Carolina improves to 3-2. Tar Heels have already played 4 conference games in the first 5 games. Carolina now 2-2 in what is a wide-open ACC this season. We're going to take a break, come back. We'll start getting to some of your questions for the head coach of the Tar Heels. That's on the Mack Brown Show from Learfield. Welcome back to the show. My name is Jones Angel, along with the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Mack Brown. It's his show, Mack Brown Show. We're here every Monday through the football season at 7 o'clock. Thanks so much for being here. And a reminder that we love for you to be a part of the show. You can send in questions via Twitter. It's at Jones Angel. Just send it right to me. Angel has 2 L's at the end. Or you can send an email. AskTheHeels@gmail.com is that email address. AskTheHeels@gmail.com. talrioles.com. And that email address, Coach, is where our first question will come from today. And it is also going to be our refuel question of the night. And so our winner is going to get a $25 gas gift card courtesy of Refuel. Fountain drinks with chewy ice, guaranteed fresh coffee, high-performance gasoline. At Refuel, there is fresh-made convenience. And, Coach, it is Jim Thompson who sends this one on. Jim says, in the modern era of analytics and so much information that coaches have at their disposal, what is an analytic that you think might be overrated? And is there one that you really value a lot that is important to you when you're trying to make decisions?
Jim, it's really interesting that you would ask that, because analytics are so new and they're so important and they're very aggressive. If you're 4th down and 2 on your own 30, minus 30, they want you to go for it. And that's good if you make it. And they say the odds of making it are really, really high. Well, we didn't make it at the 40 against Georgia Tech, and it led to another short field. And we were trying to get something going, but you've got to be able to make it, and if you're really good at it. Last year, we were really good at it. This year, I think we're 5 out of 6, but the one cost us a touchdown. So, number one, you've got to be smart and be careful. When you're playing great defense like we were Saturday, analytics say go for it. And they said I should have gone for 4th and 2 at the 43, I think, in the second quarter. Punt, man, they're not moving it.
Right.
You're having trouble with penetration. You're not running the ball very well. So analytics, I'm sorry, but you're not standing next to me. You didn't see it, and you don't have to talk to the fans after the game. So that's one thing. The other thing is the use of 2 points. They want you to go for 2 if you're down 15 points, 17 points. They want you to go for 2 every time. And they feel like your odds of making it are good enough that you'll catch up faster if you do that. And that's new, because people at my age have always waited to go for 2 till you get in the 4th quarter, unless you're way down like we were at Florida State last year. And then the last one, Jim, is use of timeouts. I always used to hold them on defense till the end. They want you to use them if you're playing defense with 2-3 minutes left. Anytime there's a chance that 40 seconds can go off, they want you to use them. They don't want you to hold them, because I wanted to hold them so when you get the ball back, you would have them at the end. Now, the other part of that is, and people don't understand, most of the time when you've got the ball and there's 50 seconds and you're on the 40 going in, you're going to hold those timeouts till the end, because you want to be able to take your time and make the right call. So if you've got a call, like we had at Virginia Tech, there was some criticism about, he's not even using his 3 timeouts. We didn't need to. We had our call.
Right.
If you don't have the call, sit down and talk about it, but you've always got to save one for your field goal. And you want to save one if you need some time to talk about a play in a certain situation later. But those are probably the 3 areas that pop up the most during a ball game.
Coach, how do you avoid allowing that to be overwhelming? You've already got a lot going on there when you're trying to make a quick decision on the sideline, pressure situation. How do you try and avoid letting all that information kind of make you freeze instead of make a good decision?
Well, Sparky Woods has our analytics book, and he reads it during the game, and I tell him to tell me way ahead. So if we're at the 40-yard line going in, I say to him, what do they say is the range we go for? And we know we can kick a field goal from the 35. We'd rather have it middle right hash, but that's our distance. So the question becomes, Jim, if you're at the 43 instead of the 35 and you're 4th and 3, do you go for it, or do you try to pooch punt it, or do you take a long shot at a field goal, which we did from the 37, I think, a couple of weeks ago. And all of those things are things I have to decide. So I will tell Phil Longo on 1st down, Jones and Jim, we will go for 4th and 3 or less. And he knows if it's 4th and 4, we're kicking the field goal. And I tell him that on 1st down. So he can start his preparation for his play calling to know that if we're 4th and 2 or less, we're going for it. So that's how the analytics pretty much works. And that's why people say you're really quiet during the game. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And I'm on the headset, and sometimes I'll say some things, but I call plays a huge part of my career. It is really hard to have full-time conversation with somebody while you're calling plays. So you'd rather give them parameters of what we're going to do at the end of this thing, and then turn them loose and let them go.
Gosh, it really is amazing how much is happening just during a regular drive, just how much communication, how much information, how much discussion has to happen during the drive there. And good question, Jim, again.
Yeah. And, Jones, I'm sorry,
yes.
But one other thing. I think it was Wake Forest 2 years ago, maybe it was Appalachian, our first year here. We had a situation where it was 4th down and 4, I think, and we were going for it because it was right at field goal range. It's third down and 4. Mm-hmm. So if we make 3, we can kick the field goal. If we make 4, it's a first down. Well, we got a sack. So we went from first down, going for 4th and 2 or less, kicking the field goal, to a sack, which had to get the punt team in there. And that was all in a 30, 40-second period, and there's a lot of substitution exchanges without using a timeout at that point.
Yeah, good question, Jim, and interesting stuff. Thank you, Coach. And again, Jim, congrats. You're going to get that Refuel question of the night, $25 gas gift card coming your way, courtesy of Refuel. By the way, show brought to you by Top of the Hill. For 25 years, Top of the Hill Restaurant and Brewery has been a pre- and post-game tradition in Chapel Hill. Handcrafted beer, great food, and atmosphere. It is where Tar Heels come to celebrate. Let's sneak in one more question here, Coach, before the break, and it comes from Hayden. Hayden asking about Joffrey Brown's progression and what needs to happen for him to be more consistent.
Hayden Joffrey's coming. He's making tremendous progress. I was frustrated when he dropped the deep ball on Saturday, and after reviewing it, it's why you have to be careful what you say. The guy absolutely grabbed his arm and pulled it down, and then it was pass interference. There's no way Joffrey could have caught that ball. But he's had some injuries. He had his knee fixed in the spring. He's had a pulled hamstring, and he's just now getting back to where he's getting confident. And as much as people are starting to bracket and double team Josh Downs, we're going to have more production out of the outside guys. And Joffrey needs to be one of those guys to step up and help us.
Good questions, and we have some more to get to that we will do in just a few minutes. When we return, though, you're going to hear an interview. Adam Lucas and I had a chance to speak with former Tar Heel running back Willie Parker. Willie, a 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers, had a terrific career in Pittsburgh, and had a really fun time talking with Willie. So you'll hear some of that conversation when we return. Then after that, Coach is back, more questions to answer, and we'll preview Florida State as well. All coming your way on the Mack Brown Show from Learfield. It's the Mack Brown Show, brought to you by Top of the Hill. For 25 years, Top of the Hill Restaurant and Brewery has been a pre- and post-game tradition in Chapel Hill. Handcrafted beer, great food and atmosphere. It is where Tar Heel fans come to celebrate. Let's get to some more questions for the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Mack Brown. And again, you can send them via Twitter at Jones Angel. Angel has 2 L's at the end of that last name. Or you can send us an email, asktheheels@gmail.com. Coach, this question comes from Caroline. Caroline said she saw that Ryan Switzer was back in town this past week and saw a picture on social media of Ryan speaking to the team. She wanted to know how often you have former guys talk to the team and what normally are those discussions and speeches about.
Caroline, we were so excited to have Ryan back, and he was hurt.
Right.
And on crutches, so he's out for the year, and it gave him a chance to come back with his sweet wife, who was also a cheerleader here.
That's right.
And we want the guys to come back anytime they can, and it doesn't matter who you played for. I get upset when basketball's done a much better job than we have of all of the guys feeling welcome all the time, because they kept it in the family. And some people like Coach Davis as the coach, and some like Coach Fedora. And, well, I didn't like the way this was handled. None of that matters. Come back. Come back. We want all of our lettermen back because you built the place. This is your school. And when I'm out of here, there'll be another coach, and it'll be the same. And we need to get our traditions to be strong in football. So it doesn't matter who the coach is. Carolina football is more important than the coach. And we're making progress. But days like Friday, where Ryan came out to our walkthrough and talked to the offense, really helps for him to come back to a game. And a lot of guys are coming back. And what they say is always really good. We're proud of you. Keep working, step up. Don't let Georgia Tech beat you twice. I mean, these guys have all played, and they're playing at a very high level, and especially the NFL guys, because our guys want to be in the NFL. So they love to hear those guys speak.
Coach, this is an email question that came from Coach Riley, and it's a great question, and one I think that you're so skilled at. I'd be interested in your answer. Coach Riley wants to know, when you are addressing difficult topics with your team, how do you remain honest but also keep the morale of the team high if you're talking about really difficult things?
Coach, it's a excuse me. It's a very interesting question and a good one. What I've learned in my time off and coming back, I can't be too honest with the team. I mean, I've got to tell them exactly what the facts are. And in fact, they usually respond when I give them some really hard information. It's facts. I'm sorry, but it's facts. This is real life. And we try to relate everything we do with our team to how it would relate to them in life. So when you've got adversity, you're going to have adversity with your wife. You're going to have adversity with your kids. You're going to have family. You're going to have business problems. So when you get beat by Georgia Tech, the way you handle that adversity and pull back together and pull closer and step up to try to make sure it doesn't happen again is the way you're going to handle those situations later in life. So I've just felt like that we need to be factual. And I tell them, I've told them that we were much better on defense at Georgia Tech, but 5 plays. Come on, man, we got to learn what to do in 5 more plays. We got to tackle better. And those 2 areas would help us win. Well, they did Saturday. And offensively, we are brutally honest about our sacks, and we're brutally honest about the penetration that the defense has given us. We're struggling in the running game. And we're not rude about it. We're honest about it, Coach, so we can get it fixed. We want to get things fixed. We're fixers. And that's what we do. And we're not whiners. We're not gripers. We're not throwing them under the bus. We're being honest. Here's what you got to do to get it fixed. Here's what we love about what you're doing. Here's what we're concerned about, and here's how we're going to fix it. And that's the way we approach everything we do.
Coach, let's do one more here before we take our final break, and then we'll preview the upcoming matchup with Florida State. This one comes from Michael, and Michael wants to know, what has been the hardest part of the season so far from a coaching standpoint for you and your staff?
Michael, it's very, very easy. It's been the offense. We moved the ball so well and scored so many points and run the ball so well for the last 2 years that we've been trying to find the right combinations and the right confidence with the offense. And between injuries and youth and just inexperience, frustration, we're trying to regroup. And that's why I think we'll probably have our best team next year, even though we will probably have to have a quarterback really step up. But we've got some talented young ones on our team. But we're having to go through the process on offense that we've been going through on defense for 2 years, and we're finally better on defense. But we're kind of starting over on offense because we lost 4 of the best players in the country. Yep. And that's been the frustrating part.
Carolina will be back on the field in Kenan Stadium on Saturday. That comes against Florida State. We will preview the upcoming matchup with the Seminoles when we return to wrap up the Mack Brown Show from Learfield. For the first time since 2009, Carolina's going to host Florida State. These 2 teams have played a couple of times since then, but the last 3 matchups in this series have all come in Tallahassee, so it'll be 3:30 Saturday that the Seminoles will be in Kenan Stadium. And, Coach, a little bit of a slow start to the year for Florida State, but they're coming off their first win of the season, getting some confidence with the last-second victory against Syracuse last Saturday. And this is not a team lacking for talent. There are certainly plenty of good players that'll show up wearing the garnet and gold.
Yeah, they're so talented. I mean, they're pretty. Yeah. And they can run. And like us, they had a tough opener. They opened up with Notre Dame, came down to a field goal right in the end to decide the game. Then they kicked field goal to beat Syracuse on Saturday. They've had a comeback that was stalled against Louisville right at the end. They had a last-second loss to Jacksonville State. So it's very similar to last year, Jones, in that they're getting better about the time we play them. So they ran for like 261 yards against us last year. And that's going to be a very difficult task for us on Saturday because 4 of the 5 offensive linemen are back that knocked us around last year, and quarterback can really run. They've got one of the best running backs in the country. And then defensively, they're huge. We've struggled inside. They've got a 6'2", 335-pound nose tackle. So it's hard to move that thing around. It's like a refrigerator in there. He's so big and quick. And so we'll have our hands full. It ought to be a fun game. To have a traditional power coming in here this week, got Miami next week, right after a rival game. What fun home games are these? And it should make it a fun challenge for us on Saturday.
Jashaun Corbin, as that running back coach was referencing, he is both the leading rusher and receiver as far as number of catches for Florida State this season. Coach, at the quarterback spot, both Jordan Travis and Mackenzie Milton, the UCF transfer, have played. Travis went the whole way this past game against Syracuse, led the Seminoles in rushing, threw for 2 touchdowns. He had success against the Tar Heels a season ago in Tallahassee as well, and so not 100% sure what you'll see at that position, but you know it's going to be a quality player.
Yes, they're both really, really good players. We all remember Mackenzie from Central Florida and the absolutely amazing comeback that he's had. I look forward to shaking his hand and congratulating him. All the knee problems I've had for what he's done is just remarkable, not just physically but mentally, to be able to go back and play. So I'm really proud for him that he is having success and getting back to where he needs to be. And Travis whipped us last year. We couldn't tackle him. Yeah. And Syracuse had the same problems with him on Saturday. So I figure we'll see Travis, but at some point we may see both.
Again, it is 3:30 with Florida State coming in to Chapel Hill, Carolina's second consecutive home game, looking to build some momentum off that great victory against Duke this past weekend. Coach, as always, thank you for your time. Great to talk with you, and look forward to talking with you next week.
Thank you, Jones. We'll see everybody Saturday at 3:30.